Hello, friends, and welcome. My name is Mario Allende. I'm with my friend Heidi McBratney, and we're here to have a conversation based on the idea of weeding your garden, something that Heidi has done meditations and teachings on before.
Awesome. Welcome, everyone. Great to be with you all and share a little bit more about this topic. So, Mario, what do you want to know? What might be some questions you all have?
Well, all I can think of is this idea of weeding your garden, how much it has popped into my day-to-day, how much it appears in my life. Weeding the garden. What does that mean? You mentioned in some of the teachings the idea of tending the garden weekly, daily. What are the things we should be looking to tend to as we go through our day, our week, our year?
So, as we go through our lives, we can't believe that we're just going to do something once and then it's done and it's over and we never have to attend to it again. So we're always tending to ourselves. We don't just shower once. We shower on a more regular basis, depending where we are in our access to water. So tending our garden means we're tending to our soul, to our life force, to trying to keep ourselves clear and clean, focused, grounded, because life is happening every day and easily there are things in life that can take us off. If you're a parent, sometimes our kids can take us off. Maybe we didn't have a good sleep at nighttime. So we want to be able to become aware of ourselves when something throws our balance. So you have to have an understanding of the baseline, kind of who you are each day. I actually start each day in the mornings asking myself, who are you today? Because I'm different than I was yesterday. So maybe that's a question you can ask yourself. Then it's as though you're looking at a garden and what's changed since yesterday. Because maybe there's something I have to pull out. Maybe what was yesterday isn't today. Or maybe there's things still from yesterday that I need to tend to. Maybe I need to water something more. I still have an issue to address. Could be as simple as I've got to go get particular groceries, or I have to deal with some type of paperwork that I didn't finish up yesterday. So we don't just leave it. We go back to it until every day we almost want to have it looking as good as it can. I don't know. Does that answer some of that?
Yeah, no, and as you were...
And I think that's a life thing. That's not just we do that every day. And we continue that throughout our life.
And as you were explaining, I was thinking of just running different, what could different weeds be in our life, in our day? Could they be, there's some things that we could definitely control, like you were saying, like the food we consume, the activities we do. But what about, say, like the news, or things that are coming up in our lives that are distract us? Are those weeds, or are they more than that? They're just distractions, and then we have to watch how we respond to that. And is that the weed that we would tend to?
Really good question. Thank you for bringing that up. So, yes, I think we all have a lot of distractions in our life. And if you really think about it, what is the most important in our lives? So I'm going to phrase a question to all of you. Is if you found out that you only had another week to live or another month, what would suddenly your perception would change? So what would suddenly become important to you? And it's not that you're going to live every day like you're dying the next day, but you want to change your perception so you're seeing life differently. And then you're going to see what's really important versus what's not so important. So for example, if I'm scrolling on my phone, how important is that going to be at the end of the day? Versus if I sit down and have a conversation with you and call you up, or like we're doing right now, and have a conversation. That's more important than scrolling. I'm going to remember this, but I'm not going to remember what I'm scrolling. So those things can pull us away. Our emails, we can get very pulled into technology. So we need it. It's part of our lives for many of us. But if we don't tend to it, it will become a weed, right? It'll grow out of hand, so to say. Some of our plants we have to transplant because it can grow way out of control. So we're watching again our baseline, knowing that we're changing every day according to life, but we don't want to get consumed by things. You know, some of the weeds are the typical things, the things we get frustrated with, our fears, our anxieties, our beliefs that I have to get this done, or I have to be a certain way. I have to finish everything on my list before I can go and have fun and play. But if we thought that we were dying in a week or a month, I guess as I wouldn't be so concerned about finishing the list. I would go and have fun and then maybe tend to some of the things on the list.
So at the end of the day, it's that mindfulness. It's not necessarily the scrolling or the being on the phone, because you could be on the phone watching this video. You could be on the phone working on things to improve how you're getting through your day. Or you could be scrolling maybe more mindlessly just on the social media or what have you. So we have to be mindful, like it's not just the technology, but how we're engaging with it.
Yes.
Okay.
And that could go for anything. It's not just technology. It could be I'm reading a book. I am spending lots of time with my friends. And so I'm spending all my time in social time. And that can sometimes become a weed if I'm trying to move away from things, almost as though I'm trying to escape. So it's really starting to bring an awareness of how we're making use of whatever's in our life.
Yeah, and the beauty of it's because it's such a simple analogy to weed the garden. It's a simple tool we can take into this life as things get apparently more complicated, more distracting, more confusing.
I often wonder that. I would think, in my own opinion, and it's only my opinion, but I think we went on a quest to simplify our lives. So we've created a lot of things to try and simplify it. But in creating all these things, somehow it's complicated it more. We have to take care of it, or if it breaks down, or it just catches our attention all the time. It's only my opinion. I think we need to get back to basics and what's really important.
Yeah, back to basics is another great way to just look at it. When you think about back to basics or tending the garden, like I'm imagining an ideal garden, maybe something that we naturally had when we were younger, a garden that was more natural. What kind of work can we do, say in meditation, to get back? How can we try and get back to that maybe ideal garden so that we know what it looks like when we start tending?
Well, you brought up being like when we were kids. So when we were kids, we would most frequently wake up if there wasn't a lot of issues going on around us, and we would consider what the day had to offer us. We'd look forward to the day. We'd wonder who we could play with, or I wanted to pretend play school, or climb a tree, or go fishing down at the local river. So and that's kind of the foundation of the basics. And so I would even take it, you could do it in meditation, and that sets up a framework for you, or a base. But I think it's even just more bringing an awareness about how do I want my day to be. And I'll give an example is I actually do that the night before the next day, is I think about the day and I go, I have a free day. And that's beautiful, but I need to have something to focus on. And it might be as simple as I'm going to actually go out to my garden and I'm going to pull the weeds and maybe move a plant or two around. And I'm going to make a hot chocolate, which is one of my favorite drinks. When I wake up the next morning, then I remember and I feel like I have a reason to get up. If I have nothing in my awareness, I almost kind of don't know why I'm waking up. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that can feel that way.
No, I've been there. And now that makes me think of, I think we were talking about this last week, just when you're a little bit overwhelmed, again, using the example of the garden, maybe I'm not going to get to the whole garden today.
Right. Yes.
Maybe there's a corner over there that is a good place to start. And today, if I could just get that little corner done, that little block.
Yes.
And then you build on that.
So sometimes when we have something bigger, we need to break it down. And I remember I have a very big garden in my backyard, and I was regaining my health. And I was very overwhelmed. I didn't know how I was going to get to this, literally, the garden to pull the weeds. And I thought, okay, I am going to do 2 feet by 2 feet. And then I will stop. And that started well, because then I wasn't so overwhelmed. And because being overwhelmed, I didn't even want to start. But this way, it felt manageable. And funny enough, what happened is I remember I did 2 foot by 2 foot. And I thought, I'm okay right now. I'll add on another foot by foot. And I just kept going a little bit. Then I stopped thinking about it. But then I noticed when I was like, okay, I'm tired now. And before I knew it, I had a third of this huge garden done. And I was surprised, right? So we make it one step at a time. We break it down into manageable steps.
And I suppose it wouldn't hurt to celebrate each little victory.
Absolutely.
With that hot chocolate, or if you're out in the garden, maybe a lemonade. You did the chunk you needed to do. Mark that, celebrate it, and keep going. Yeah.
Important to have that acknowledgement, because that acknowledgement, almost like a little kid, if a little kid gets praise, they want to do more. I was with my grandson yesterday, and he wanted to show me he'd learned how to ride a bike. And so we were walking down a path, and he'd always be looking back. And I'd yell ahead, congratulations, great job. And then he went down this big hill. And it was like, oh my gosh, you had perfect balance. And it kept wanting him to do more. And even to ride longer and say, hey, look how much I can ride, Amma.
That's a perfect illustration. We can all connect with that.
Yeah. So, and that's what we need to do for ourselves. We need to have a way of doing that, because sometimes we're used to having the voice in our head that can be harsh and critical and tell us how we haven't done enough, or we should do more, or how come other people can do more than us. And we have to acknowledge that that's there, but not give it the stage, right? We almost have to say, it's not your lines right now. It's not your time. You hang over to the side right now. Just like if I'm in the garden, the plants need watering, but I'm going to pull the weeds first so that the plants actually really get more of the water when it's time to water.
Yeah, I suppose you would slowly tweak your routine until you're as efficient as you can be. It's at giving the flowers their food. I was also, what popped into my mind as you were talking, in the meditation for weeding your garden, you're in Machu Picchu. We filmed up by the gardens in Machu Picchu. And you were talking about how it was all overgrown at a certain point.
Yes.
So when you're tending to your garden and you're just going about your day-to-day, your routine, maybe it's also good to keep in mind that there might be more there than you think.
Well, there is a place, the sister site to Machu Picchu, called Chocacrao. And I got to visit that many years now ago, over a decade ago, I believe. And they had uncovered a piece of it. But since then, they've been uncovering more. And with all the special equipment and technology we have now, they see that it's actually massive what's underneath all of the brush and the jungle that has grown over it. And so little by little, they're clearing it. Of course, they require all the monies to be able to do that and the time.
Sure.
But absolutely. And so the more that we do with ourselves, the more we uncover about ourselves, the more we uncover, the more it drives us forward to want to do more, to see if there's more that we can uncover. So it actually becomes a positive support to us to keep going. So I want to encourage all of us to keep going. Don't give up. Look at what you've uncovered so far. Feel really proud of that and accepting of yourself, loving of yourself, and use that to drive you on to the next step. And of course, acknowledging when you need the breaks, taking a lemonade, hanging out for a little bit, and just taking in what you've accomplished so far.
What a beautiful way to look at life.
So I think we can maybe give all of you that to walk away with right now and really consider what is really important. Find your baseline. Check in with yourself every day. Have an awareness, have a way of doing that. Set little steps up for yourself. Take action, move towards it. Look at the action you've taken so it motivates you to continue on. And then continue almost like the loop. Then acknowledge again, appreciate another step. So I hope this becomes helpful to you all, friends, and enjoy the amazingness that you are and the brilliance that you were born to be.
Thank you so much, Heidi. I can just say for myself, as I've been able to use this example of the garden in my life, it has been very helpful. It's so I wanted to thank you for that, and just invite everyone else to consider the same thing. And you know, as we pass each other in life, we can see, oh, I think so and so tends to their garden in a certain way. I appreciate, I admire that. I might try that myself. And as we go, as we go through life, we can celebrate everyone's garden.
Yeah, and we help each other out. And then we make it all a pretty place. And that we acknowledge that we're all brilliant and beautiful and have something to offer.
That sounds great to me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, friends. Take care. See you next time.